Hey, what's up, everybody? I'm Will, and this is my channel. What is your experience with VR, face rigging, etc.? I think the majority of you, it probably starts and stops with social media filters. You pick one, you shine on your face, and like magic, you're a dog. Except in this case, with today's interviewee, he is a frog. A king frog. And he debates people. Folks, we are going down a deep, deep virtual matrix, green-lettered virtual sex dungeon, DJ custom-filled avatar rabbit hole with the most notorious king frog on the internet, and also the host of the politics Discord, Dooby. I had a few questions for Dooby. I asked him about his life, about how his avatar works, and what his relationship is to VR, and more. We went to some other areas as well, like what conversations are helpful to society, Mr. Girl's Jesus level of empathy, and facts that are hard to swallow. Fair warning. Going in, this is my first interview that I've done with somebody that I'm a huge fan of, and I was pretty nervous, and admittedly, I interrupt Dooby a lot here, for like zero reason, and he was a really good sport about it. I was watching back this VOD a couple times, trying to make the timestamps, and honestly, it's kind of embarrassing. Folks, please forgive me. Dooby, if you're watching this, thanks for putting up with my rudeness, and I promise that I have 2 more really cool interviews lined up where I learned a lot from this experience. Come on, folks, let's dive on in. We're diving deep into this VR nightmare that is keeping me up at night. What is real? What is fake? Is even real or fake real? I can tell you that the like button is real, and my joy isn't fake every time I see my sub count go up. So drop me a comment down below. I want to know what video games have the best photo features for a future video. Now, on to the interview. I guess number one thing on top of my head is, what exactly is your avatar? What is like the frog, and how did that come about? Did you make that, or did someone make that for you?
No, it's actually it's part of FaceRig. So FaceRig is like this virtual avatar app thing.
Oh, I can.
Thing.
Okay, yes.
So I got it on Steam, and it had the frog already, and I just got to add props to it, customize it a bit.
Really?
Yeah. Originally, I had the first time I went on Twitch, so I started going on Twitch like about a year and a half ago, I think, and mostly with Prime's community when I met him. But I've known people from Twitch for a long time. Like, I've known Destiny for like years. Known Vosh and Hassan. I've known all those guys forever.
Gotcha. So, how did that? So here's the thing. I'm gonna be honest. Pretend you can explain to me like I'm a 5-year-old, because I literally have been into this community for the past 6 months. So a lot of that stuff I didn't even know. So has Vosh been like actually doing stuff for that long?
I've known Vosh since he was on Destiny server as a user, and then he started streaming, and then he got pretty big. But yeah, I'm pretty friendly with him. I've had him on my server for AMAs a bunch of times. He's a cool guy.
I guess the thing that I thought was really interesting is I obviously was just a fan. I still am just a fan, really, of all of that kind of stuff. And like when I first hopped onto like the politics Discord, I guess your politics Discord the other day for the first time, like I was surprised at like how huge it was. Like it's like, how many active users are on your politics Discord? It's almost like
there's 60,000 like users on it, and any given week we get like I think it's like 14 to 15,000 individual active users like every week. But then that kind of cycles. Some people won't be active for a bit, and they pop up a couple weeks later, and they're active for a while. So I don't know. It's hard to tell like exactly how much of the community is actually like active.
Definitely. But like, so I guess then kind of shrink it down even further. It's kind of like then the people that are actively streaming, it's obviously even less than that. What would you say? Maybe it's like 1% maybe of like the active users, maybe, or
there's streamers.
Yeah. I feel like there's kind of like trickle down almost.
Yeah, there is. We actually have a lot of users on the server who do like game streams. So those streams like a couple hundred people, but they do like video game streams, so like not related to politics at all.
I see. So there's like zero crossover they don't really leech into
Yeah.
that viewership, I guess.
Right. Yeah.
Interesting. Okay, I'm sorry about that. Kind of side stuff. I don't even really do politics stuff that much. It's just kind of interesting as my side thing or as a hobby, I guess.
It's okay.
So how did you exactly get into online politics? As I say that. So Destiny, like in 2016, or were you doing stuff before that?
Yeah. I got in. Do you remember the "He Will Not Divide Us" thing that Shia LaBeouf did after Trump was elected?
Yes.
Yeah. So I was in my office, and I had that up on like my second monitor, while I was working, and it would just seem like the most ridiculous thing ever. But I loved it because it was really silly.
Very.
So I would just kind of have it on and like people watch while I was working on it, right? And I started to notice that it looked like they were talking to people, right, through the camera. Like they would look at their phone and then talk to the camera, then look at the phone again. So I was like, oh, there must be a chat room somewhere where these people were talking to people. So I looked for that, right? And I eventually found a web page that was like swiping the stream and like restreaming it onto some web page with a bunch of Pepe frogs and shit on it.
And how did you find that page? Was that through 4chan or what?
No, I just Googled it. I was never on 4chan or anything like that.
Oh, okay. Got you. Sorry.
And yeah, so that had like a chat box, like a chat room on the side. And someone posted a Discord link on there. So I clicked on it and I got to Discord. And it was like the Pole Discord. So it's full of Nazis and shit.
Classic. Yeah, sounds about right.
So I hung out in there for a bit. 'Cause it's like the first time I like interacted with those kind of people, like ever.
Nazis or Pole?
Both.
Okay.
Because this happened like in the middle of my own like political evolution. Right? Like I grew up very Republican, just Republican because my father was very Republican.
Have you disclosed like your like ethnicity and age online? Like, do you use
30.
Sorry.
Yeah, I'm 33, and I am. Most people would call me Hispanic. Okay, I am indigenous Hispanic, I guess.
Sure.
Like it's like 30% or whatever indigenous American, and like, yeah, my family immigrated from Mexico in the 40s.
I feel you. My brother-in-law is half Cherokee, half Mexican, so I get that. That's cool.
Yeah.
Do you think you get any kind of like extra anonymity, like out of, kind of having your virtual avatar, like?
Yeah, I mean that's the reason I do it. So when I first got onto Discord, so this again, it was in the middle of my own like political like evolution. So I was just curious, right? Because like I'd grown up very Republican, and during the gay marriage debate in California, that's where the gay marriage should be illegal. I totally split off from the Republican Party because they're them not wanting gay people to get married just made no fucking sense to me, right? Based on everything that I've been taught conservatism was growing up.
Interesting. Do your parents feel the same way? Out of curiosity?
They didn't at the time. My father was very like anti-gay marriage at the time, and so I'll talk to him about it. And I just felt like all of his arguments were like religious, right? All the arguments Republicans were making were religious, and they made no sense to me.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, and that's like, my father and I had a very strange relationship. So like the religious thing kind of makes sense from him because they were religious, just in like a weird way.
Totally. Was your was your dad Mexican or Hispanic? Excuse me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel you. I totally get that. Like, cause my girlfriend is Mexican, and obviously, like, her side of the family is very, very conservative in that regard. Like, I think maybe it might be a cultural thing. It's mixed with the religious thing as well. Being Catholic and
Yeah. Well, my mother's side of the family is basically like a cult, sort of.
Oh, swag.
Tarot cards and exorcisms and spells and all that kind of shit.
How do you feel about that? Do you believe in that?
No.
0%?
I it's hard because I grew up around it, right? So I saw a lot of shit growing up.
Hey, you could be agnostic about it. I don't know.
Yeah, no, it's really difficult for me to let a lot of it go, just because I grew up around it and I saw a lot of stuff that I still can't explain. Even as an adult. And
Sure.
I just need to like rationalize and say, oh, it's my brain playing tricks on me because I was a kid or whatever. But I don't know. It's weird.
Were these cool odd things, or were they kind of like traumatic?
I don't really think of anything like that as traumatic.
Okay,
See,
that's good.
When I talk to people
That's
about
good.
like the stuff my father used to do, because my father was very old fashioned. But like people have said it's sadistic, right? He would do stuff like if I cried at all, if I complained, I'd get hit, right? That sort of thing. For example, like when I was like 5 years old, we had puppies. Our pit bull had puppies. He didn't want them, so he called me to the backyard. He opened up a small dog food bag that was like empty, filled it with water, and then made me hold it open as he lowered a puppy into it, and then made me hold it closed as the puppy drowned. And I was crying and didn't want to do it. I dropped the bag and I was telling him no, and he hit me and said that no, we had to do it. This was life. Blah blah blah. So yeah, they made me drown the puppies. Stuff like that, right? There's like a lot of it, but and people have said that it's like abuse or traumatic or whatever, and I guess it is, but I don't feel like it's affected me really on a negative way.
Interesting.
On my mother's side, the other stuff that I experienced there was all like I became jaded to it very quickly. Seeing what I thought were ghosts, hearing shit, going through exorcisms.
You don't think any of that shit affected you at all? I mean, holy fuck. That
like
sounds insane. I mean, like, that sounds just pretty intense, just like any normal human. Like, I personally have never come close to drowning a puppy or having, let alone my father figure, instruct me to do so. And then on top of that, have a bunch of mysticism thrown on top of that. That sounds pretty intense, my man. That's all I'm saying. No judgment. That sounds crazy.
Yeah, no,
holy moly.
I get it. And I get it. I don't know. I think it's.
How do you feel like that made you progress as a person, as a king frog?
I feel like it made me very good at dealing with stressful situations.
You're very cool in the debates. Like when the panels get intense, I always find I think I've probably heard you like raise your voice like really loud on maybe like 2 occasions.
Yeah, I don't get angry. And when I'm acting angry, it's because I think it's funny, and I'm trying to piss the other person off. But it takes a lot to make me angry about anything. And yeah, I don't know. So it was stuff like that. Like there was shit like, lots of like beatings and shit. But it wasn't like I never felt like it was like coming from like place of anger. It's more like training. Like you felt like I needed to be strong. This is how I'd be strong. And so eventually I learned not to show pain when I got hit, right? That sort of thing. I don't know. It's just weird. So yeah, I was in the middle of my political evolution when I got into, and really what I mean by that is I started to explore other ideologies. Going from like Republican, I went to like mainstream Democrats, and then I went to like socialism and communism and fascism and anarchism and manarchism, and I was just trying to learn everything I could about everything.
The whole rainbow.
Right? Why these people believe the stuff they believe. And in the middle of that, I stumbled into this poll Discord server, and I spoke to these Nazi guys, right? And I realized that most of them weren't actually Nazis. They said they were Nazis. They said they liked Hitler. They opposed the swastika shit, but they were more like
Trolls.
edgy teenager types who thought it was funny to piss people off and make them upset with their Nazi posting. Because if you actually spoke to them about anything related to Nazi Germany, they just had no fucking idea, right? If you spoke to them about like something as simple as like the Holocaust, whether it happened or not, the arguments they'd put forward were literally like memes. They'd post a meme or an infographic with a Pepe on it.
All right.
They'd be like, "Oh, look at this. This is why it didn't happen." And then if you broke that down, they had no no like counter to it because they just hadn't actually looked into it because they don't care that much actually.
Oh, of course not.
People off.
Of course not. Okay, all right, so that's very fun. You know, it's very rare that I get to talk to someone who actually knows some stuff about Poll and 4chan these days. Okay, so I've definitely been on 4chan for a while, probably since my youth, since I probably figured out 4chan was the thing, you know, way back in the day. And, you know, I haven't been posting a lot off and on. I'm just saying, long story short, I know the history of 4chan. I feel like we definitely came to a point where, like, that shit posting, which was, in my opinion, like, pretty obviously shit posting memes. These were not people that actually believed the stuff they were saying. They, like you said, were just saying stuff because it was edgy. Is it weird that I kind of feel like that discourse has changed, and now I feel like they've definitely drinking the Kool-Aid? Like those sites are intolerable now. I've not gone on 4chan in years, you know, because at some point it just flipped and it was like, whoa, there's actual Nazis here now. Like, that's crazy. How do you feel about that?
I think some of these people are like actual Nazis, but they're very few and far between in my experience.
Even to this day, you think?
Yeah.
Really?
I think a lot of them are edgy jackasses who think they're Nazis or think they understand anything about that, but really they don't, and they haven't done any research into it, and they don't actually know anything. When you start pressing them on these things, they're not going to know what they're talking about, first off, and then when you start actually questioning them about like what policies to support or why they like it, they're going to say something about the Jews, and then that's it.
Classic
and
move.
All this they're getting it because they've been in these spaces where they've been bombarded with these memes and shit in these echo chambers, right? Where they're actual Nazis who believe in this shit, and they're just absorbing it and they're regurgitating it without actually understanding what the fuck any of it is. I think that's most of that. Not to say that there isn't like racism and Nazis and shit and fascists in these spaces. Of course there are.
Okay, here's what I would say.
I just don't think it's most of these people.
That thing how you're like you said like they don't understand, right? Like they're absorbing it and they don't understand. But then I would argue they regurgitate, right? Like they're definitely, because like social media and stuff and all this stuff has come out, like it's way easier to regurgitate like what you read on 4chan and stuff like that, you know? So basically my thing I was trying to get at is I feel like back in the day, these guys were posting and like, you know, the guy's like, ha ha ha, I'm a Nazi, the Holocaust ain't real. And he's literally like laughing behind his computer screen because he's very aware that it's a fucking troll. I think that there honestly are a much larger portion nowadays of like people that are on there that are just like these malleable types that you're describing that are not like the internet savvy trolls. Like they're kind of going on there and they're, regardless of whether or not they go full Nazi, like they're still kind of like regurgitating the stuff and like,
yeah, I agree.
You know what I mean? Whereas like the nerdy guy, the 13-year-old posting the meme he knew it was a meme, you know? I don't think these guys know it's memes, like the QAnon people. Like they, you know, it's gone far beyond memes at this point, don't you think? It's very interesting.
Yeah, I agree with that. But I think that I think those people are like salvageable.
Oh, for sure. No,
Whereas most people who've like gone full like Nazi, right, are like just, I think you're not going to convince them because they have like an emotional attachment to the position.
Definitely agree. Yeah, I would say probably like, honestly, 99% of Nazis, I bet you could probably convince to come back, I think.
Yeah.
Do you agree? Yeah, totally. I think most people on the far positions, you know, I think it's just a huge empathy problem we have. Everybody's so spread apart, you know, in their own little bubbles and shit. Pretty obnoxious.
Yeah, I agree.
Do you do anything else? Would you consider yourself like a V person, a VTube, I don't know, a virtual reality
VTuber?
I don't know. Like, okay, here's the thing, bro. One of my best friends, he's a really famous VTuber. That's just I watch his videos. That's the full extent that I know about VTube. I don't even know what tech you use to interface with virtual reality. Yeah. Do you know anything about that?
I know what tech they use. I've helped other people, you know, get set up as VTubers.
Okay, perfect, dude.
Like actual VTubers that stream and shit.
What's your relation to VTube? I guess, if just quickly, because I don't want to take too much of your time. Like your relation to VTube, like I don't know. Tell me if you.
So the reason I do it is just because I don't make any money from Discord or Twitch. Right? Like I'm not. This isn't my job.
Right.
it's a hobby. It's something that I'm like, interested in. It's like a passion project for me. The Discord especially.
Yeah,
So
it's really cool. I like that.
there's nothing gained for me like risking my actual job, my actual career, which is where like I own a company, I have employees, I have business partners, I have lots of shit going on. Right?
Totally.
There's nothing gained for me risking that, right, by sticking my name and my face next to whatever I'm talking about at the time. I gain nothing from it, so why do it, right?
Respectfully, I think you've got a hot take occasionally,
Yeah,
which is totally okay. I respect that.
yeah. Well, sometimes I'll take on like contentious positions just to like test how far people have thought things out. Which is actually how I got started on the politics server as a user. Because when I got to the original server from Poll through a raid. They raided the server posting like Nazi shit because it was originally like an anti-Trump server.
Why does all of this start with Nazi shit? It seems like a lot of political discourse. Not you personally. Everybody's discourse seems to start with Nazi shit.
Yeah. So that's how I got from the Poll server, the 4chan server, to politics, the original politics server, which was called March Against Trump, and it was like a lefty Trump hating server. So they raided it, right? Because they're anti-Trump, obviously. And I just stuck around after the raid. I kind of followed them when they posted the link in chat and went into the voice channel and sat there and listened to all the chaos. And then afterwards, they left. And I realized that these people were actually having discussions, right? About like, that wasn't like memes and, maybe the Holocaust didn't happen. Maybe it should have happened, blah, 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 right? They were like actually like having discussions about policy and about philosophy. So I stuck around. And because that server was very like lefty, and I was in the middle of my political evolution. I'd heard a lot of the arguments from all sides about every issue because I just been like looking into this for like over a year at that point. So I started to make up those arguments and see how far people thought through their positions. So if someone was like pro-abortion rights, I'd argue anti-abortion rights. If someone was thought God didn't exist, I would argue that God did exist. If someone was a very Christian, I'd argue as a Luciferian for why Lucifer was actually, the ally to humankind based on what the Bible says.
Oh, you're a literal professional devil's advocate.
Yeah, I mean, I would just go around arguing as an anarchist or a communist or a fascist or whatever the dominant position in the room, I would take the exact opposite position.
It's a good way to empathize with the other side.
Yeah. Well, because it was like, because I wanted to understand the arguments of a fascist, right? Why would a fascist believe in fascism, given that everybody fucking hates this ideology, right?
Definitely.
Or somebody who's like an anarchist, who gets like shit on all the time for being an anarchist, right?
Yeah.
Why would they still believe this, right? So I just looked into it, and I read a bunch of shit, and I listened to them speak, and so I got to the point where I could empathize and understand the positions enough to express them, I think, in a fair way. So I would just,
for sure. I'm sorry.
So I'd go into voice channels where people will like write off those opinions entirely, and then try to present those opinions in a reasonable and fair way. And a lot of times, because they were so used to just totally dismissing like an anti-abortion argument or a pro-God argument or like a pro-Islam argument or whatever, because they were just used to just like dismissing that because in their echo chamber that they were in, they didn't need to actually argue anything.
Yeah, they just find it immediately repugnant, basically. Like they don't even have to engage with it at all.
Right. So they actually hadn't fleshed out a lot of their positions.
Right.
And I would just challenge them. And it, of course, made me very hated on the server. Right? But it also drew a lot of crowds. Right. And the guy who originally owned that server was named that Sass, and he appreciated that I could go into a voice channel and 40 people would come in to argue with me. Right. And I was able to argue with all 40 of them at the same time. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And they'd get very angry, very riled up, and because I was, I don't get riled up very often. it was just, I guess it was like funny to like listen to or something.
So I was recently watching the PrimeCayes. I think it's called the Small Table. It was the 5-person panel, I guess, that you did with Mr. Girl. And something that I thought was interesting was when you guys came to the topic of child pedophilia. Something I thought was interesting from you, which I had never seen before on any of the panels that you'd been on, was you were like, this is one of those topics where I really don't feel comfortable about talking about it because it's one of the few topics that I feel like if we talk about it, it does actually normalize the, normalize kind of the position, I guess, or normalize child pedophilia, or at least normalize talking about it, And at least to my understanding from watching that thing, it's like you think that if we normalize that, having that conversation, that's like a net negative to the world, right? Am I kind of understanding that?
Yeah, basically. It's not so much the conversation. It's specifically what Mr. Girl, I think, does or advocates for, which is like extreme empathy, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's like Jesus level empathy. It's pretty...
Yeah, I'm all for empathy, right? And empathizing with people and understanding them. But he'll say, oh, well, we need to be able to talk about... sometimes it's natural for a grown adult to look at a 12-year-old and think they're attractive. And that's natural. It's a dark part of us that we need to acknowledge. And we need to be able to talk about it. And sure, I mean, I agree. Sure,
I know what you mean.
It exists sometimes, right? But
okay.
what benefit is there in bringing it up all the time, right? And not just saying, hey, yeah, this is a thing that happens sometimes. But when it happens, it's a bad thing, and you shouldn't dwell on it. You shouldn't want to talk to everybody about how your dick got hard looking at an 11-year-old, right? Like you should probably just dismiss it and move on.
Do you think that what are some other topics do you think that are like that? Because I was trying to think about it after I heard you bring it up in this panel, and I honestly was kind of hard pressed to come up with another topic. Honestly, that basically, long story short, I think Mr. Girl really hit. Yeah, right. Like I think Mr. Girl really hits on it when he's like, I want to be the empathy guy, and the way that I'm going to do it is I'm going to express the empathy. I'm going to express empathy to the least people who deserve empathy, who I would argue are definitely, child pedophiles are definitely the top, if not second, right? I can't. It's hard to think of something else, like for real. But yeah, I just think that's interesting.
Things where like
every other topic though, you're pretty much game.
There's a fact, right? Where like I think it's over 50% of women who are raped are like have an orgasm during the rape.
Correct, I've heard this.
Right, so that's true. It's a thing that happens. It's like a physical response. But it would be, to me, it's kind of like asking questions about why that is. And, oh, well, does this mean that they liked it? And if they enjoyed it, was it rape? Oh, and how sure can we be that it was rape and they weren't consenting if their body reacted in that way? And blah, blah, blah. Like, I guess you could talk about that if you really, really want to, right? But it's kind of gross, and I don't think it serves a purpose, right? Like,
I know what you mean, because I know what you mean, because even if you were to kind of extrapolate on, I guess for me, I would argue probably the big use is maybe just for the therapeutic use, right? Like, I feel like the other thing that Mr. Girl does, he doesn't really usually say it super explicitly, but something that I've kind of been catching on is like, it's like a denial kind of aspect. It's you were in denial in this position, and that's why you think this way about it. And you know what I mean? Like you were in denial about being attracted to 12-year-olds occasionally, and yeah, I don't know. I feel you. I get that.
To be fair to him, I'm not saying that he's like pro like child molestation.
Oh, of course not. No.
Yeah, I don't think that's.
I'm a huge fan.
I worry that.
Honestly.
I worry that. Yeah, I am too. I like him a lot.
Yeah.
But I just worry that that topic specifically is maybe it's I'm like. Very sensitive to it because on Discord there's a huge pedophile problem.
Interesting.
A huge one. That
really?
I've had to deal with a lot over the years.
Are you allowed to talk about that? Can you describe that?
Yeah, it's anything from like just one off. A dude talking to like a girl and he starts hitting on her in DMs and whatever. Right.
Okay. Here's a weird question. If I'm in Discord,
and then.
Just really quick, I'm sorry. If I'm in Discord and we were in that big like 60-person Ask Me Anything, right? And I'm there and everyone else is there that's asking a question and Mr. Girl is there, like, can you just click anybody in there and start chatting with them in Discord? Yeah. No shit. I'm super new to this shit, bro. That's trippy.
Some people
Really?
make their DMs private. Not everybody. Most people just have them open so you can just DM them.
Got you. I did not know that.
Yeah, and sometimes an adult will, start talking to a kid and start flirting, whatever, right?
Hey.
So that's bad, but it's the least bad thing I've seen, right?
Oh.
Because the other extreme is, I've seen like organized groups that have Discord servers, and in those Discord servers, they will post and laugh about and talk about how they're targeting specific underage girls in other servers. They'll start off by pretending to be underage themselves. They'll start flirting, get the girl to send them nudes or something, and then after that happens, they'll dox this person, right? They'll dox this kid, find their Facebook, their family's Facebook, all this shit, and then they get them in a group DM, and in this group DM, they're threatening to send their nudes to their parents and their friends and their people at school if the girl won't get on cam and do more stuff for them, while they're all watching. And sometimes it's sexual stuff, sometimes it's stuff like cutting themselves or cutting their hair. Like, it's really disgusting, right? And there's a lot of that on Discord. And over the years, I've had a lot of people like that arrested. Like, this is why people ask me all the time. They'll say that I'm a Fed or that I work for the government or whatever, and it's because of this. Because I've gotten a lot of people arrested for this kind of shit. So,
well, fuck.
It's like it's
that's crazy, man.
Huge problem with that on Discord. So
like,
maybe I'm just hypersensitive to it because I've dealt with it so much over the years.
If I got a PB&J sandwich, bro, and I hand you the PB&J sandwich, and I'm like, there's a lot of jelly on this sandwich. You're picturing like jelly like coming out the sides of this sandwich. When you describe the problem on Discord, and you're like, there's a lot of this. How hard does one have to delve deep into it if there's so much to find it?
It's
I guess.
I would look.
I don't send it to me. I literally don't even want to. I can.
Literally, you can go to Google.
Okay, maybe I'll do this. Just
look for a Discord dating server.
Google Discord dating server.
Teen dating server. Right? Just Google
shit.
Google that language.
And then Cox Digital Cable is going to come to my house and arrest me.
The first thing that comes up. Here's a Discord dating server on Discord, which is like a Discord listing site. 13 to 18 plus community, 13 to 17 years old hop on, and these are dating servers, right? Where people are posting selfies, people are sexting and shit. There are a lot of kids. They're specifically advertising, that if you're 13 plus, you can go on here. And these servers are full
Sounds
of
kosher.
pedophiles.
That's insane.
They're full of pedophiles.
What? I'm 27 years old myself. I remember being 13 years old and browsing 4chan. What the fuck do the kids gotta go through these days? This is some crazy shit. It makes me think dude, if I was 13-year-old William, browsing the internet, the Wild Wild West, without any parent supervision, I was back in the day, what kind of goofy shit I would get into. Do you think that there's been a upscaling of this crazy, malicious behavior on the internet over the years?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Exponential.
With the internet, what is it? Fuck, I forgot what the word is. But child porn or child sexual images, right? Mm-hmm. Is increased by I think it's over 100,000% or something like that. Some crazy number.
Holy shit! Really?
It's a huge explosion because not only do these people now have access to kids all over the world versus kids next door, but they have that access anonymously a lot of the time, right? And there are separate from Discord, there are a ton of random ass little chat sites that you can get onto that advertise specifically to children, right? Where children go on to talk to other kids that are flooded with the grown ass men who are looking to hit on kids and to try to get news and shit.
All right, I'm gonna hit on one last.
It's actually disgusting.
That is insane. I'm gonna be blunt. I think I'm innocent. Really, I honestly had no idea that was even remotely a thing.
I'm gonna send you one of my friends.
Okay.
I've known this guy for.
I'll watch it on stream afterwards.
I've known this guy for 2 years now. I think 2.5 years.
Okay.
He's a pretty big YouTuber, and he makes videos specifically about these communities.
Really?
Yeah.
Ooh,
his style is very dramatic, if I'm being honest with you. But they're good videos and very well researched, and he will look at any of his videos, thetheKidsChat.net, just look at that, right? Or a Cartoon Incorporated, which goes into like think of that when he goes into like how there are pedophile rings on YouTube, specifically targeting kids with like cartoon videos, right, where they're sneaking in messages and shit.
Oh, dude.
Like it's really, really bad.
I've heard about that one time.
It's hard to understate like how it's hard to overstate how bad it is, right? So maybe because I've been dealing with these people for years, I'm like hypersensitive to it, right?
Wow.
And maybe that's why like it bothers me when the way he speaks about it bothers me. But I think he is a good guy, and I'm not. I just wish he would have chosen a different topic. Really.
Fair enough. Let's try and do one more question because I'll cut you off at 3. I appreciate you very much for making the time, and we had to do the rearranging and all that shit.
No, I mean we can, and I know we didn't have much time this time. If you want to like talk again, we can talk again for sure.
Cool, I'd love to.
But yeah, so
last question here. I got you. This is because it relates to what we're talking about. So, because basically, I'm kind of on like a VR arc right now. I'm learning more about virtual reality. I am more terrified the more that I learn about it. But at the same time, I work in like my regular job is related to media, and I've kind of been pushing away from VR for a while, but I think it's starting to get to the point where VR might be something that I really need to consider. You know what I mean? So that's kind of chit chatting with you. You're my favorite VR person that I see on YouTube all the time. And what I'm curious about now to relate to this though is that like the VR stuff is just crazy. Like when I watch my buddy, his name is Got Drums on YouTube. He does like VTube stuff, but he will go and everybody has like, I don't really even understand how it works, but they're like in virtual character models. It's almost like Gary's Mod looking stuff, but you control all the limbs.
You're talking about VR chat.
Yeah, I guess so. VR chat. Yeah. But like, like eventually I think it'll be super common when we're all represented. It might be more, it might even be 50-50 or more common that people represent themselves by like a virtual avatar online than a physical avatar for like anonymity like you do,
right.
And
have you gotten into VR chat at all? Like have you
No, I've never partaken.
I have a friend who from Discord that I've known for like 3 years, and she introduced me to VR chat like I don't know, like 5 months ago or something.
Okay.
Right? And it's like I kind of heard of VR chat and it seemed like clips or whatever, like people walking around like anime like avatars and
exactly.
But so she came onto Discord, right? We were like catching up, and she streamed her like VR chat game, right? And she has like a full body rig, which is they have like sensors on different parts of their bodies, so when they move their arms and legs, they move in the game.
Okay.
And and she was telling me about how they have like she's a DJ in VR chat and she gets paid to do DJing. They're exotic dancers, right? Who people pay for like lap dances. And
wait, hold on. She's a DJ within the VR thing. So like she loads up like Spotify
DJ scene.
And like other virtual homies are there DJ, like dancing
to
the
like rig, yeah, like a thing at home that she bought, and she'll DJ and it'll like play through the VR chat.
That is
and there are like clubs where people go and she'll DJ and she'll have like concerts and shit.
Did you ever play Second Life back in the day?
No, I didn't.
It's funny like thinking about like Fox News used to always be people losing their minds in Second Life, trading virtual money for actual money, blah. It's like we're really in that fucking world. Like
yeah,
like that's
I'm
crazy.
Sure you've seen Ready Player One, right?
Yeah, definitely.
It's like it's on that level. Some of the shit.
How much is this person's rig that is like body joints?
She told me. So I looked it up because she wanted me to do it too, right? And
let's do it, buddy. Let's get Dooby like, in 4K.
It was like $2,000 or some shit.
Right? Whoa!
And okay, there's another huge thing. This thing is also full of like sex workers, like prostitutes, because the people that do pole dances and lap dances in VR chat all these people have like full body rigs, right? So they're actually like when you're seeing their character do like the splits and shit or like handstands, they're actually doing that in their room in real life. Right. It's very strange to think about. Right?
May I ask how do you know how do they get such high quality body models? I imagine that like they pay for them. You just pay for them, eh? You pay like a digital artist, right?
Yes, hers. She had a custom one with like custom tattoos and shit, and she said it cost her $1,300.
Holy shit! Whoa.
Yeah.
Who?
Yeah.
So, does it vibrate? Like, do your arms vibrate? Like when you touch things?
Well,
or
so she said that's some people have that, but most people will have like they call it phantom touch, right?
Okay.
Which is kind of like if you heard somebody like had like an arm amputated.
Yes.
Sometimes they can still feel the arm.
The ghost
right?
limb, for sure.
Yeah, it's kind of like that, but it's if they're fully immersed in the VR thing and someone touches their avatar, they can feel it, and this is how a lot of these people will have like VR sex, right? They'll feel like they're being touched by this other person. Yes, and then they use fuck, I forgot what it's called, but they're like dildos and vibrators that connect to the internet, right? So, and they'll have one on each side, and they'll be fucking the vibrator or whatever, or the dildo, right? And the other person can feel it on their end. That's very strange. Right? And they have like prostitutes right in the game that will do that.
Like, wait, I that's crazy, man. So, I mean, do you go into like Discords and like get the links for this, or do you walk around like a virtual red light district? What do you?
It's all in the game, right? So they're like clubs. I forget what they're called. They're like clubs that are like strip clubs, right? Where they have like actual strippers, like VR strippers. They're actual like people on the strip holes.
And this is in VR chat.
Have, like, all in VR chat, yeah. And these are all like custom built worlds that are built by the people that run them.
Is
right?
VR chat one of the most played video games right now? If you'd consider it a video game?
I wouldn't be surprised. I think that there's a huge barrier to entry for most people, right? Which is like getting the VR like set up. But I think you can play it without that. I've never actually played it myself. I watched her play it for like 3 hours, right? And she's just showing me around, introducing me to some of her friends, all that kind of shit. And that too is full of pedophiles, by the way, of course.
Why are there so many pedophiles everywhere?
Well, according to Google, the thing I looked up a while back, somewhere from like 1% to 5% of the male population in the United States are pedophiles. So that's like millions of
For
pedophiles.
sure. I mean, 350 million homies, that's a lot of, and then half of that are male probably, so that's a lot. Okay, fuck.
Yeah.
That's awkward.
So they're and that's just in the United States, right? You got to consider the rest of the world who also has access to this shit.
Holy fuck, I'm ignorant. I didn't even obviously think about that. No shit. Okay, well that's, and then obviously if you're in the know, you kind of all flock to the platform, and then it just grows from there.
I mean, I'm telling you, like to understand how these people operate, like you literally just watch one of Max's videos.
Okay. I'm scared.
Maybe I can introduce you to him. He's a really nice guy. He really has pedophiles. Right.
Cool.
And his entire thing for the last like 2 or 3 years has just been like exposing pedophiles on YouTube and other platforms, right?
So when you say he hates pedophiles, you mean like, if he could Thanos snap his fingers like that, they would all die the most horrible, painful death of all time, or like? Yeah.
Do you remember when I said he's kind of edgy and his videos are kind of dramatic?
Yeah.
Yeah, you'll understand when you watch it, but
I see his picture here. It looks pretty edgy.
They're very well produced videos, but they're like, have you ever seen, I forgot what the game's called, but he'll, in the video, they'll like wear masks and have like baseball bats and like, make semi-death threats to the pedophiles, like constantly, right? While they're doxing them. So
great.
He's a very edgy guy.
Gotcha.
But yeah, he really, really hates pedophiles.
Maybe I'll watch this off stream before I check it out on stream.
I mean, it's all like, I'm sure he has it on YouTube. and he doesn't say anything directly. Like he'll blurt out the bad words about, you know.
More just because I don't know if I want my face next to all of this stuff enshrined on Twitch forever.
Right. True. Yeah.
Maybe I'll get a cool digital avatar just temporarily while I. So what's this thing that you use? I'm sorry, you said it's called Face Rig?
Yeah.
You know how Anna, with all that Destiny Anna drama, she recently started using a VR or a VTube person? Yeah. Is that Face Rig too, or is that something different?
No, she probably uses, there are a few of them on Steam. Face Rig is actually not available anymore. The company that made it has an updated version called Animes, which I don't use just because they don't have the frog on it.
No, terrible call.
So, and I'm waiting for them to have the frog, and then I'll probably move to that one. But then there are other ones that are like specifically for like anime VR shit, where you can make like a custom anime VR
I feel you.
Everything. And I think that's what Anna uses.
Interesting.
And then other people, you know, they'll reach out to artists and have custom ones made, like Aristocracy. That's what she did.
Right. And so is hers like a custom puppet that's in that game essentially, that she's like puppeteering?
Yeah, basically.
Do you know why she does it? Does she do it for anonymity as well?
Aristocracy?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, same thing. She had issues in the past with like Nazis trying to dox her, like she had stalkers and shit. So
fantastic.
I mean, in political spaces, if you're a woman, you're gonna get a lot of shit just automatically, because you're on the internet with a bunch of like guys, and lots of these guys are like incel types. So yeah, she got a lot of that hate, and again, there's no benefit in risking your like real life, you know, to stick your face on this thing, in my opinion.
Is getting doxxed just something maybe you should expect if you're going to partake in these online spaces?
You should expect people to try, for sure. I expect people to try. And if I didn't have a business and employees and business partners and clients, I wouldn't give a fuck, really.
Right. No, I know what you mean. You got a lot to lose, my man. That makes sense.
Yeah, like if this were my job, right, I would just like, and I were making money from it, and this is like my income, I just go on cam, like I don't give a fuck, right? But it's yeah, there's too much to lose, I think.
It makes sense. I get that. I think it's a good place to end, my man. I appreciate you so much for...
Sounds good. Well, let me know if you want to talk again, and we'll talk.
I would love to. Yeah, I might hit you up. Just maybe if I'm gonna watch this dude Max's videos. Like I said, I'm kind of going on this like VR arc, you know, and I might just hit you up again. Maybe if you'd be so kind to maybe point me in the direction of maybe a couple other people if I get to that point. And I'd like to hit you up again. Just maybe we could talk about something else, you know, not related to VR. You seem like interesting. I like your history seems really interesting, and I didn't know any of these personal things about you because obviously I've only seen you on the panels, right? And I think that's probably the majority of people, and I think there probably are some people that are curious, you know, as to why you have these interesting ideas when you come to the panels, you know. So
yeah, well, just let me know whenever you want to do it, and if I have time, we'll get it set up.
Sounds great, man. I'll see you later.
Okay. Nice talking to you. Talk to you later.
Peace, dude.